Hey, fifth graders, welcome to part 2 of the timeline of humanity. Last week you looked at keys, which were inventions or creations that allowed humans kind of open the door to new things and allow them to grow and develop as a human species. Today, excuse me, we are looking at the angels on the timeline. Angels are belief systems that humans developed or founded or created to, well, further their lives. It made them think outside of what their life is. It makes them think, why are we alive? How are we alive? What is our purpose in this life? And it actually wasn't until our first timeline happened before 10,000 years ago. And there are actually no angels on our first timeline. Those are ancient humans. And that's because during that time, humans were so focused on just surviving. They were so focused on, when is my next meal? How can I hunt in this dead of winter climate? How can I build a shelter? What's the best way to build a shelter? So that first timeline is just about humans trying to survive. It wasn't until all the way almost through, okay, we're passing the invention of writing and the wheel and a sail, mathematics. Here we're coming on sun clocks, the alphabet. Here's where we see our first angel, right here. This is the Code of Hammurabi. And you may have heard of one of the codes as an eye for an eye. So you give back what you take. So the Code of Hammurabi is a set of laws that was created in this society, and it's actually this old Babylonian culture, and it's incredibly interesting what the laws they came up with. So they're obscure laws that would never fly in today's age. Things like if a thief is caught, their hand gets chopped off. Whoa. Okay, so they're pretty severe beliefs that this first kind of Babylonian culture lived off of. If you can see, our Shang and Zhao empires were becoming bigger. So this is in Asia, today's Asia. And because of that, these Asian empires were getting stronger, and their belief systems were being created. And so the Vedas and Moses was created. The Vedas are from India, and it's just a group of belief systems, books, kind of like the Bible, except for different beliefs. Moses, of course, is a story from the Bible, a man who freed the Egyptian slaves. So there's another belief system. If we go further on down into the Iron Age, we see more of the Eastern Asian civilizations are really gaining a lot of power here. They're influential and really theorizing a lot of different beliefs, and they're thinking about philosophy. In fact, it's the age of philosophy. There's a lot of Roman and Greek philosophers as well as Eastern Asian philosophers. This is where Buddhism first started. And let's see, that was 2,500 years ago. Buddhism, that's how old it is. The Tao, it looks like T-A-O, that's how it's spelled, but it's pronounced Tao. That is another Eastern Asian, and they kind of believe in peace and being a whole person and finding your true self. So that's a really interesting philosophy that you could study. Moving on. Sorry for the clumsy cameraman-ness here. There we go. Here we're moved into the classical age, and this is year 0, the very beginning. This is our third timeline, year 0. And year 0 is when Christians believe that Jesus was born. In fact, our entire human timeline is based on this belief, which I think is really interesting in itself. Our timeline of humanity, when humans think about time, well, the first year was when Jesus was born. Before that, it was all BC, which can stand for before Christ. So this is year 0. So this year is 2020. So Christians would believe that Jesus was born it's 2021. So Jesus was born 2021 years ago. And so this would be Christianity, the birth of Christ, or Jesus. We enter into a dark age, and the dark age was a tough time for humans. We can see the dark age here. St. Patrick of Ireland, so Catholicism. And we can see that there were several angels' beliefs being created during this dark age. This is a time of severe pandemic, so a lot of people were dying because of disease, much more than the coronavirus. And it was a time that so many people died that actually scripts, so people who wrote the history of humans, were not alive. So the dark age is here because humans, historians, don't actually know a whole lot about the dark age because there isn't a written history. So it's really interesting. And because it was such a tough time, a lot of times when people have some really hard things that happen to them, they go to a belief system, whether it's God, whether it's Muhammad, that's this angel here. Here are monks and holy men, so that would be an Asian belief system looking in towards themselves. The idea of peace comes about. So when bad things happen, it's human nature to try to look for some hope. And because of that, a lot of beliefs were created, which I think is really interesting and important to note. Further on down, just moving kind of slowly here. We've got the pre-modern age. And the modern age. Here we have women's rights, which is an angel. A belief that not just women, but all people have the right, which is where this big angel here comes to be. That's our final angel on the timeline, and that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which I hope to study later on this year. I'm hoping we have some time for it. And this is, just like our Declaration of Independence, it's a document that states that every human is equal and have a basic set of human rights. So this is a really interesting document and a really interesting and important peace movement that you could study. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you. This is our biggest angel. So that's an important one. So your assignment, just like in the keys, is to choose one of the angels. See if you can put this up so you can see me here. There we go. Choose one of the angels to research and study. Remember to type into Google, history of Moses for kids. If you type into Google, timeline of humanity, angels, history of Moses, Google's not going to understand that, right? So keep it simple, but collect your research, and then you can choose how you would like to present your research. On Canvas, there is an example that Mr. Shively created of a presentation. So you could do a PowerPoint, you could create a movie, an iMovie, you could do a poster or a diagram, all sorts of different things. but make sure you answer all of those things that are on Canvas on that list there. Have fun and enjoy learning.